We are starting the stream. How you doing, Jeff?
Pretty good. You can all hear me?
I can hear you. So we are starting our stream. I'm Greg. Welcome to my channel, Midnight Oil Software, and another live stream of our Mastermind group. We're joined here by Manny, Klaus, Max, and Jeff. So this is where we talk about anything related to game development, usually Unity game development. And we talk about whatever we're working on and any cool stuff we've learned and help each other out with anything that we're struggling with. So how's everybody doing this week?
Okay.
Good.
Nice.
Cool. And if there is anybody watching, let us know if the audio and everything is okay. We've had issues with that in the past. Hopefully that's all worked out.
At the very beginning, you needed to create some kind of board like streams without issues like 0, and then you will have an account or some kind of on the next streams.
Yep. So I do notice that my hoodie is backwards, but my background is forwards. So can't have everything. So who has something cool to share this week?
Well, I could probably show you a little utility that I discovered.
That would be cool.
I don't know about you guys, but sometimes you get those warnings for missing script and you can't find what it was actually linked to. I found a cool little utility that actually does that for me.
That would be cool to hear about. And if you share a link in the chat, I'll paste it in the YouTube chat.
Sure. I'm on the YouTube chat as well, so
you can just post it there
if you want.
Perfect.
All right. For those of you who've seen my camera tutorial, you'll know this scene. Basically, a lot of times if you have a script attached to something and you delete the script itself, then you get this missing script thing. But Unity just gives you a warning over here and you never know what it's actually attached to. So in the asset store, I found a tool called Missing Reference Finder. It's actually quite easy. You go open it up and you can go search current scene or search the assets folder, and it actually gives you the game object there that the script was attached to, and then you can fix it whichever way you need to fix it by replacing the script or just deleting the game object or removing the component.
I guess it won't tell you what script was missing, though.
Sadly, no. It's just going to tell you what component looked for it. But if it's your game, you should be knowing what script was attached to a certain component most of the time.
Yeah, I guess it would not be as helpful if it's a third-party asset or something.
No, unfortunately not.
So does this happen when you try to get a component that is a script on a game object? Is that how it knows? I'm trying to figure out how it knows what should be where.
Yeah, basically, each time you create a component and you attach a script to it, it references a script over here. So what happens is if I accidentally delete this script, any component that has it attached to will give us an error like this. But if you've got a lot of stuff in your scene or throughout your project that use that script, it could be a bit of a pain to find them all.
Right.
And is that free?
Yeah. That's a free asset. I'll paste the link for you in a moment.
So it's like a poor man's alternative to Odin Validator.
Yeah, it's like a poor man's alternative. Let's just grab that quickly. And then I can show you a little something that I've been working on for a video. Let's just grab this live stream. And there I've pasted the asset. All right. So I've been working on a video to actually create a game in an hour. So like a quick prototyping thing without using assets. And the game I've created is a little local multiplayer space shooter type of thing. What the thing I wanted to show you about this is the planetary gravity. Let's see if I can get this going. Just grab my controller. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to create objects with gravity that actually pulls something in.
No, but this reminds me of an arcade game called Space War.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the controls were a lot like Asteroids, but it was a multiplayer arcade game where you flew around and shot at each other, but they had a lot of different configuration options. And one of them was gravity, where you got pulled towards some object like a black hole or something. There was one that had expanded universe where you go off one side and come in the other. But then there was, you know, where you just ran into the edges and bounced off. A lot of cool asteroids would be flying around that you had to avoid.
Yeah. And in this, basically, if I can show this to you, I've been holding it away from the planet, but gravity pulls it in. How I did that was to attach a collider to each object, but make it really big, and make it a trigger. Give me a moment here. So what happens is, as soon as the object actually enters that collider, it gets added to a list, and if the tag for it is ship, in this case, which is what I want to attract, then on every fixed update, it's going to apply a force to that, which I've calculated using the classic gravity equation, but I've modified it. For instance, the normal gravity constant is actually quite a small number. As you can see, it's 6.6743, and then you add another 11 zeros in front of that. But because I'm working with small objects and I want the effect to be quite pronounced, I've actually pushed up my gravity constant to 1,000. Yeah, I just thought this was an interesting way of doing things, and I wanted to share that with you. So basically, there's the equation for the force. And if that object is in the list, so I could have 5 ships or 10 ships or 1 ship in the field, and it will attract it. When I don't have my planets stuck in place, it actually attracts the planets to each other, and they sometimes even do little orbits around each other. But
cool.
Yeah, it's just very unpredictable.
So I see that you're taking into account your mass and then the body's mass.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it looks like you're just multiplying them times each other, right?
Yeah, I'm taking this gravity constant, which is 1,000, and then I take the body mass of both bodies, like you said, and I multiply them, and then I divide that by the distance squared.
Okay. So it gets stronger the closer you are.
So are you moving based on physics? That's how you're moving your object?
Yeah, he's doing an add force.
This is all 2D physics.
Okay.
That's all that it is.
And are you...
You
have a collider on your object, and you have rigid bodies on the gravitational objects? Is that what's going on? Or the other way around?
The rigid bodies on both, right, Manny?
Yeah, you have to have a rigid body on both.
And your collider's on your basic object, though? Your ship?
Yeah, the ship also has one. Let me just grab this. My ship gets brought in as a prefab, but I have a ship here that I use for testing. Basically, the ship has its own collider just to detect collisions. And then it's got a rigid body here, which has its mass. And then the planet also has to have a rigid body. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to obtain its mass. And I think also you might not be able to get a trigger or a collision on it. But I'm going to have to make sure about that one. But as you can see, the collider on this is huge. I mean, here's the planet, and then this is the collider. So this is basically the sphere of influence for the gravity on it. So if the ship enters this, it gets added to the list, and the planet will act on it as long as it's inside here. When it exits collider or exits trigger, then it just gets removed from the list.
Do your objects, I'm sorry, do your planetary bodies move at all?
No, I actually fixed them in place.
Okay,
I froze.
well, that makes sense.
I took the rigid body of the planet and I just made it kinematic.
Because you could have them move with this system because it's dynamic. I was thinking right away, another way you could do this, but only if the planetary bodies are stationary, is you could basically set up a grid of vectors and figure out where you are and like take your difference. I don't know if that makes any sense. You take like points and show where where your vectors are, or at each location rather you'd have a vector that says, oh, if I'm here, there's going to be gravity this way, almost like you're baking in gravity, like you bake in lights. That I think would be pretty efficient, but only if these bodies don't move.
Yeah, I get that. You could probably build like a gravity indicator. So you have something that's attached to a fixed point, and then it's got a joint with a weight at the end, which gets influenced by gravity, and that'll indicate whether or not the planet moves or not. Because it'll always be pointing towards the gravity field. So if you have more than one body influencing that area, you'll actually get the mean gravity indicator as well. Makes sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping this will become a little project that I can sit down and do from scratch within an hour to show people that it's possible to quickly prototype something interesting without using any assets. But yeah, we'll see. Watch out for the video.
Cool.
All right, that's about it for me. Anyone else?
I can okay, give me a second.
Take it away, Max.
Okay, my software of the week is a to-do list. I had a struggle with my tutorial in the game because I had like 10 small tutorials that I need to like show. Okay, give me a second for sharing the screen. Window, entire screen, share. Okay, yeah. So as you remember, I have like a tutorial, and I had like a huge text for each tutorial. Like I have a tutorial for the lobby, and there is a text, and there is a picture, connected to that, and I have the like game itself, the hacking that I called it, and I here have a text and the picture. And that's very problematic because sometimes picture is just a screenshot from the game. It's very easy. And sometimes I need to create some kind of scheme, and it is very painfully. And I need to push myself through the whole day to just do that. And what I decided to do that I will do just one screenshot for one day. So I decided to create a to-do list, and I just assigned for me that every day I will do one tutorial image. And that really saved me because doing it like whole day is extremely boring. It's a super boring task. But after just splitting that to one task per day, that I was able just to sit and make this. And like, whoa, yeah, it was super boring, but I was very excited that I decided to split every very hard task or very boring into one small per day. And it really saved me. And I think it's very cool because I forgot about this life hack. And I also was always trying to leave to the later the trick with adding the sprite assets to the game with the mouse inputs. Instead of just writing every time, click right mouse button, I finally added them as a text. And it also was because I like separated it as a separate task on a separate day. That's just a stupid life hack tricks. And the other thing that I maybe showed you before, but I want to show you one time again, because now when I create a project, even for like testing, I add these two assets because they're super cool. You saw them already, so it's a tool that called it's called favorite. No, yeah, it's favorites. But on Asset Store, it's called favorite tabs. And what it's do, you just jump to any object in your project, anyone, and you just see that you can set a star. And what's happened, you have this extra window. And when you hit this star, it appears like exactly in this list. And what it gives you, you just can click and it's quickly show you this exact object in the project tab or in the hierarchy. So you can set some just object on your scene that you usually use, and it will appear also here. And the main trick is that you, for example, can set different types of these stars, like different colors, and then you can create different tabs with the different ways to sort it. For example, and I'll show only red stars or blue or pink. So you can like separate your tabs when, for example, you work with the different content from your game, and it's very, very cool for me, especially if your game consists of two like sub games, like in Hero Might and Magic when you have like a battle and then the world. And it's very, very cool because in my like work project, I have like extremely big hierarchy. There are a lot of objects, and just searching through them and clicking, it's not possible. So I usually just put a star here, for example, and during runtime, I just click and find the object what I'm working currently, for example. Sometimes you can just work with the same asset or the same prefab, and you just add here, and you quickly can jump to that. It's very, very helpful. And the second tool is...
sorry, what was that first tool called?
Okay, yeah, I will show it.
Favorites.
Favorite tabs.
Favorite tabs? That's pretty cool.
I will give the link after we will finish. And this trick, this tool is very integrated with totally different tool that called this queue hierarchy. And this is just extended hierarchy. So it gives you the possibility to, of course, like enable, disable objects. But what I like the most as a UI developer is that, for example, if you create a complex menus in the UI, so you usually have like a lot of boxes inside of boxes, and usually you just don't understand where the element that contains some kind of script. And this tool solves this because they have these like small icons, and you can see on what exact object you have script and what script exactly is what is type. And it's very helpful. Of course, you can see other icons that describes what kind of component is there. But I usually use it for this and for more readable hierarchy because you have these trees, and you even have a counter that says how many child object is inside this object. So there are also several small features, but this one is already okay. And as you see, when you add some of the object to the favorites, they still have this like features, so you can enable, disable them even from the favorite tabs, not from the hierarchy itself. And that's unfortunately like favorites is paid one, so it costs about $10. Queue hierarchy, maybe there is a free version, but they are very cool. So I tried a lot of tools, but this one I think should be by default. I'm very unsurprised that you don't have some kind of favorites because it's like quite, I don't know, quite basic feature should be, and same with the extended hierarchy because basic hierarchy is quite poor. And I will add the links to the chat. And that's all, because what I was working was just changing and improving the tutorial and fixing small bugs. And like I'm almost finished my sprint that is like that started from the 1st of September and is going on, and I want to finish it, and it's like 4 tasks left, and I hope that I will not add today like 2 or 3 more. But I'm very excited that I'm close to the finish. And yeah, what I forgot, that it's also important to play your game, because I finally played my game on weekend. Like, wow, it's a great time. I played And I was like, well, man, it's unplayable because I was fixing some visual stuff, like with the tutorial, with the starting of the game, etc. And I played the mechanic itself, and I found a lot of like balance problems, a lot of just ways to finish the game during 3 seconds, which should not work that way. And I just like, what mark I will put to my game? Like, okay, 3.5 of 10. Yeah, that's better than it was 2 months ago. It was like unplayable. Now it's playable, but with a lot of problems. But I think it's very important, yeah, from time to time, play your game, even if you have a lot of stuff to do, because it reminds you what you're doing and reminds you like to go back and focus on the core gameplay, because sometimes you're jumping away from the main features. And that was all from me. Or if you have any questions.
That is a really cool, asset. I'm going to put it in the comments here.
Yeah. Have you found both of them or only one?
Well, so far I've only found favorite tabs. I just pasted that.
Okay, and I will send you the
queue hierarchy.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go.
Oh, okay, you found it. Great.
So that one's $10. How much was the favorite tabs? Was that free?
No, it's also about $10.
Okay.
I remember one of my colleagues tried to do something similar, and he was also like trying to sell it like about $5, but I don't remember if he's still supporting that feature. Yeah, and also I recommend use the Notion or something similar, because I previously used some other softwares, but it's the coolest one because you can put everything here. Or if you're not using it, try to use it. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, now.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about well, I'll go ahead and describe it. So the Maxis game, I had an idea about Maxis game, and I sent him an email.
Yeah, that was a great way.
And I'll just tell you. So in the game, I'll make sure I even understand it right. You're looking for keys. I know that's true, and the keys are like one particular cell.
Yeah, it's one
right?
just in a random cell. Yeah. Keys
So I always felt a little bit like, you know, in Minesweeper, you're trying to like uncover a bunch of cells and uncover the map, right? And finding one little key always felt a little uncertain, right? You'd have to really, it's kind of random as far as whether you can find that one cell. So what I sent him was an email to say, if you made it like a full shape, like if it was a key in the shape of a key, or maybe because you're hacking, it's in the shape of a little database similar, it could be anything really, then you wouldn't have to like put it within like a boxed in range of cells, right? Because as you uncover the edge of it, you might like recognize it. And then when you uncovered all the cells that made up the shape, that would be like your key. You're solving that little thing. To me, that felt a little bit more strategic, like more like Minesweeper, where you're uncovering stuff, but you get a hint. But what did you think of it?
Yeah, I really like it. Like the only like technical problem is as you remember in the Minesweeper, you have like this like cell with a bump. In my game, it's called the virus, and technically you don't want to open it. So
I don't remember that for the virus.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. Can I share it? Screen one more time. So the only problem is there is this cell that you try not to open, and if you will push people to open like every cell in this shape, it could be a problem. But I think it's just possible to move it away from the virus.
Sure.
No virus in this shape, and I'm thinking like to add this, try to combine it and add it as an extra goal that will, for example, if you will gather some shape, it will give you some bonus, or it will increase time, or will just do something, because it will be also extra goal, and it will be some kind of extra risk, because for example we have several goals, and you can I can win the main goal, or I can try and risk and open the shape that will give me extra bonus, but maybe I will fail because there is not much time. So I think it's just like main idea of game is about risk, so risk taking, and I think the more such goals I will give to the player. It will be more interesting. So yeah, thanks for the idea.
It would definitely be important if you had the shape like to put some blank cells inside of it and mostly blank around it, right? So you can actually uncover it. You don't want to, like make a big square full of mines that you can't get into because it's a mine square.
No, I will combine, because as you remember, I had that game of my previous. They have shapes there, so I will just use the algorithm and combine it. For example, that will be just some action when you draw some kind of figure. Yeah.
Right.
I totally forgot about that. That was I was sitting on that like months or more, and I totally forgot about that feature. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a suggestion. I just came up
No,
to
of
me.
course. Yeah, it was. Yeah, thanks very much.
Cool.
I can show what I've been doing if you want.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take it away.
And it's not coming quite as quickly as I'd like, but there's a little bit. Well, coming from last time, so let me bring it up. The problem that we uncovered while we were in the session last time is I was flipping my block, and I'll go ahead and go to let's see here. I think I can do this. Yeah, the custom level. All right. So last time when I turned my block, these were off center, right? They were not the same. And what I discovered was, I had a shape that I made in Blender, which was a cube frame, and the source of that cube frame, right, the center, the origin point, was off by a little fraction. And so when you populated it, it would be up by too much of a fraction because the source was down. And so as you flipped it, then it would go that offset would go in different directions. So I had to make a new object, and then that caused its own problems. But that's all right, because I forgot to put all the things on the object. Like I didn't put a rigid body on it, and then it messed up. But right now it is perfectly centered, and no matter what direction you go, it's centered right. So there's that. However, my new problem, and I ran into several new problems, but the current new problem is I'll turn this around so you can see they do go together, and that part's working properly. This is the new problem is there are two blocks here, and I'm checking support for the main block that's there, and I'm not checking the support for the other block. So that's something I'm going to have to continue to debug.
So are you saying you shouldn't be able to hang over the edge like that?
It should not be able to hang over the edge like that. There's two blocks in the super block container, and before it turns, it always checks support to see, okay, if I project the 90 degrees, are there blocks under it? And you can see it won't move this block off the side, but it'll totally move the blue block off the side. So the green block there, it's checking support for it properly, and then it's not checking support for the other one, so it's letting it move, which it should not be doing. So that's what I'll have to work on. But I am happy that I got the connection working properly. So that's kind of where it stands.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of code to support. Checking is actually, for support, is probably about the most complicated code in the thing.
Nice.
Well, yeah, with rotation, I think with the exporting from the 3D software, and then with the pivot points, I also had some kind of problems, and it's also very important to check everything when you report that, because you can easily forget, especially if you have many models in one trial, you import a lot of them. Yeah,
I mean, the fact that it turns constantly, of course, makes things more complicated than if it were just
static
in one direction. Yeah.
Klaus, you got anything?
Yeah, a little bit. So I'm working on my project that is compiled into DLL, and I managed to set up my build pipeline for that. So I have all my scripts I usually use ready to use in a GitHub repository now. And every time I push it to GitHub, I'm getting a new build and a NuGet package.
Nice.
I can share a little bit.
Yeah, CI/CD is a sparsely covered topic when it comes to Unity.
So this is basically the workflow file for GitHub. And basically says, okay, if I push it to release, this gets triggered. And then there's some build stuff going on with .NET. I'll run the tests for my project, see if that's going to work. And at the end of it, the Nougat part is a little bit interesting, because if that's a .NET Core project, you can use a GitHub Nougat package that's task.pag, and it works a little bit different in Visual Studio, but with Rider you can just go advanced build, pag, select a project, and you get a Nougat package. Turns out that does not work with .NET projects. So for .NET projects, you need to use the Nougat command line tool. But yeah, after that, it's also pretty straightforward. You can just call pag on the project you will want to create a Nougat package from, and yeah, then push that to the GitHub package repository. So GitHub has a own repository for Nougat packages where you can register your IDE. And now every time I get a new update, I can get it in my projects and check for updates and can see the different versions I have.
So you just use that GitHub Nougat repo as your package source in
right.
Nougat Package Manager. Cool.
Yeah, right.
No, but I have a question. But in Unity so Unity uses package based on the URL of the, so it's directly from the GitHub, yeah.
Right now, I'm not using it in Unity directly because I'm mostly working with library projects.
So these aren't
I'm
Unity packages; these are just .NET packages.
Yeah, those are just DLLs.
And that scratch.yaml, that looks a lot like the Azure Pipelines YAML that you would use in like Azure DevOps.
Yeah, it's probably pretty similar. But yeah, so I'm just using it with just like default .NET library, basically. My next step I want to do is maybe publish it as a Unity package so that I can use a package manager for that. But there's also a Nougat package manager for Unity so that you can use all the Nougat packages inside Unity. And that just downloads it, I think, into the plugin folder. So you can use basically all packages there as well.
Cool. Yeah, all I did was like when I have a package for any of my tutorials I want users to be able to grab, I just create a Nougat package. I export it as a package. I put it in a repo, and then you can just download it and then just go to import custom package and just pick that file. I haven't gotten fancy enough to actually grab it directly from GitHub.
Yeah.
Nougat is a tool or a language? Well, I don't know I've never heard of Nougat.
Nougat is a package manager.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's similar to Maven, I think. And yeah, this is what I get on the GitHub backend. I get my release and some patch notes, and I also split the DLLs in a separate zip file. So if I just want to grab the DLLs, I can do that as well.
So do you use Visual Studio, Jeff?
Do I know? I use VS Code for my...
Okay. Well, yeah, I think you can also import Nougat packages with VS Code.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a way to pull in packages, and it's really great if you have shared code across multiple projects and you want to just put it in a package and have all the different projects pull the same source.
Okay.
But you can also create what we call Nougat hell or package hell if you overuse if you have like interdependencies between different packages and stuff. Cool. Well, Max, you were talking about tools and assets. So I discovered an asset this week on the Game Dev show. I found out that there's a tween package called PrimeTween that's free. So I always use DoTween, and I even have the paid version of DoTween because even though I can do everything I need to do in the free version, I like to support, asset creators that give us cool assets. But apparently DoTween creates garbage on the heap. So if you, and since you tend to use these animations and stuff, like every frame, like if you're doing a rotation or a scaling or something, you can quickly create a lot of garbage on a heap that has to be cleaned up by the garbage collector, and then that can cause performance spikes. So this supposedly has alloc-free, zero allocation animation, shakes, delays, and sequences. And they supposedly were very, very smart and kept the exact same API that DoTween uses. So you can just say, transform dot do fade or do scale or do rotate or do move or whatever. It's the exact same syntax that you would use for DoTween.
Oh, that's very smart.
Yeah. So I thought I should have copied that link. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, it's very cool because in many projects, especially when it's more than one developer, it's a big problem because a lot of people, write code, and especially in project when you have in a rush, so you're not very thinking about the optimization. And it's could be issue when DoTween creates garbage, a lot of garbage, and like you're totally forgetting where it's used even. So that's a problem of the DoTween.
Yeah, so I use tweening a lot, and I haven't tried it yet, but and honestly, I've never noticed performance problems from DoTween. But if that is something that you run into, you should consider PrimeTween. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I had somebody comment. You all remember I did a tutorial on how to create an in-game tutorial using the endless book asset?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody was asking me, could I do a video on having sprite animation on a page using a rendered texture? How do you place it in a position on the page? So I got some clarification on what they wanted. And the tricky part is they want to have more than one animation, and they want it to be positioned on the page relative, I guess, to whatever text and stuff they want to have on the page. So I created a really quick project. I just imported the endless book asset, and I opened up this demo scene, and I haven't had a chance to try to put their idea into practice yet, but I was looking on what I could borrow from this. So
but, like when you're talking about like more than one animation, because you had what kind of animation?
Well, so like this page, now this one I don't think is a good example to try and copy, because what you've actually got here.
You're not sharing the screen. By the way.
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm actually sharing the, I'm sharing it on the stream, but not with you guys.
Okay.
So let me go into our meeting and say share window. Can y'all see that now?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that is showing up on the stream. So anyhow, this here.
It is.
So this guy here is actually, it's this camera pivot that's rotating, right? And underneath of that, they've got their camera, and then they've got this scene that has the chessboard and all the pieces and stuff. So that's not exactly what I want. What I want to do is I want to create a page. Like if you go up here to the book, it's got this collection of pages. And then each of these pages has a texture. And that can either just be, or actually it has a material, but that material is built from a texture. And you could use a rendered texture. So I would create a scene kind of like this, and I'd have a camera positioned. And then on that scene, I would have whatever animated objects I want to have, right? And that would create a render texture. But then I would need to have behind the camera a background. And then this is just using a blank page as the background. I think in my case, I would actually, they give you a bunch of templates. If I was to go look at this in Explorer, they actually give you a zip file with a bunch of templates, and there's a PSD file that you can use to create a page image that you could use to build this page background. So I think that's how I would tackle it. So I'll if I get some time, I'm going to play around with that. I'm going to try and create a new page, and I'm going to create my own page background that instead of just being a blank page would actually be text that, you know, I might have like rotating cube, and then I might have pulsating cylinder or something. And then I would put I'd put a 3D object and I'd put an animation on it. And I'd make sure I position my camera so it would show the background as well as those animated objects. And those would all get rendered out to a target texture, which is a render texture. And then that would be the texture for the material that goes on whatever page, right? So like this guy has a material, and instead of just being a static material, it would be a material from a render texture. Does all that make sense? But I
guess I don't know can you explain what render texture is?
Yeah, so a render texture is basically a texture that a camera renders to. So you can have a camera output to a target texture, right? And then you can put that texture anywhere in your game. Like if you want to create a mini map, this is one way you could do that. You could have a camera that just renders to a target texture and then use that texture in a quad or something. And that would be your mini map.
Cool.
So in the same way, we would put it on a page, and we just have to line it up with the text that's in that background, that page background. So I haven't proven it yet.
Sorry, but I just want to make sure I understand this. In theory, would you like off screen have another camera and you're manipulating what that...
Exactly. Exactly. Either off screen or just on a different layer. And then this camera only renders that layer. And then your main camera doesn't render that layer.
A very cool example, I think, is with the avatar. For example, in your game, you have the ability to create like a random avatar of your character with different armor and helmet. And you want to show your avatar like on the UI of your game. And because you can't create a static image, so you need to do this trick with the render texture. So you're making this like camera that watch somewhere on your avatar, and then you just render it on your UI. And you have like a live version of your character.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So the other thing I've been working on is I haven't had much time to do tutorials or game development or anything because I've been focused on trying to promote my game, Highland Panic. So I've been working on trying to get an ad campaign set up using Google Ads. And it just isn't gaining much traction. I've only sold, I think, 4 copies on Steam and then 2 copies on App Store and then 2 copies on Google Play. So, alas, just not. Yeah.
But those calls that you had with the support, did it help some way?
Yeah. So, I mean, they did help me get the ads set up, and I've got my ad groups with all the assets and everything. I've got better images up there now. The other thing is they wanted videos in different aspect ratios. So I just had my trailer, and it was just basically what is it?
9:16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 16:9.
Yeah.
So they wanted in square and portrait or vertical, right? So basically I just pulled it into OBS, and then I just created a
Square.
because you can set the output ratio for whatever you're rendering to, and it fills in the outside area with black. And so then basically what I did is I pulled in like my logo, Midnight Oil Software, and then the Steam, Apple, Android, logos to fill in that empty space above and below. So now that got my, not ad score, what do they call it? There's some kind of score that they give you, like poor, good, fair, whatever. And depending on how good that score is, you have a better chance of winning a bid to show your ad instead of somebody else's ad. So it's pretty complicated to get your ad campaign set up, to get your ads to show up, because you have to set like how much you're willing to bid per impression, right? And so to get your ad to show up instead of somebody else's ad, you've got to outbid them. But then you don't want to bid more than the cost of your game. If it's going to cost me more to show the ad than it's going to cost for somebody to buy the game, then that's no good, right?
Okay.
So and also it uses machine learning, so it will run your ad, and then it will look and see where does it get impressions, like what time of day, where geographically, what demographics, and all this other kind of stuff, and it will learn like where to show your ads, what time to show your ad, and who to target with your ads and all that kind of stuff. And so,
do they not
yeah,
guarantee a certain amount of impressions?
No.
Or is it just...
No, there's no guarantee for performance. But so I have 2 different campaigns, well, 3.
What do you mean by performance, though?
Performance being conversions.
Okay, yeah, you're not going to get guaranteed, but don't they guarantee that they're going to show your ad a certain number of times?
No, that's why you have bids, right?
So
And
they could show your ad, they could take your money and show your ad 0
no,
times.
they
Is that
won't.
what you're saying?
They won't charge you unless they show you.
Okay.
But what I was getting ready to say is I've got 3 different campaigns. I have one that's a max performance or performance max campaign, and that's the one that goes to my web page, because the only way I could actually target Steam was to have my own intermediate web page with a buy now button on there. And so for me on that one, a conversion is clicking that buy now button, and that takes them to the Steam page, but that doesn't guarantee they actually buy it on Steam. And so that one, that's the most expensive of the campaigns. The other 2 campaigns are app campaigns, and I only get billed for actual conversions, where an actual conversion is either buying it on Apple or buying it on Android, on Google Play. So those haven't cost me hardly anything, but I'm also not getting hardly any conversions from them yet. But hopefully they're still learning, and they're going to get better. But I might end up suspending or canceling the Performance Max campaign if it's just costing me money and not getting me any conversions, and just run the app campaigns, since they're not hardly costing me anything. And then I could bump up my daily budget to what I was spending on the Performance Max campaign, just put it all into the app campaigns, and then I'll get more impressions for those. But yeah, so that's why I haven't been doing much game development stuff or tutorials. So if I did produce 2 short videos for my music and sound effects series, I had one on refactoring the music manager for scalability using scriptable objects. And then the most recent one was wiring up a UI to control the volume for your music volume, master volume, and sound effects volume. Doing that logarithmic to linear conversion to go from the decibel range to the slider range, and vice versa.
It's still a lot of, because because with the marketing, it's the most like important moment where you're missing the marketing department.
Yeah.
Like because I remember in big companies you have like separate department that is preparing all the graphics. Like you need to give them graphics, of course. You usually ask artists to prepare them. Like sometimes it's a very strange resolutions of art, but they do everything by themselves. And what was really surprised me is that, for example, for like Apple Store, they usually make some huge, totally non-related to game screenshots and icons. And I was like, why do you do that? And like, oh, it's work. It was very surprising for me, like it's all prepared. And I wanted to ask you, like, what did your campaign goes? I remember you were supposed to talking about Facebook, YouTube, and what about Twitter?
That was. Are you talking about the Fiverr? The Fiverr campaign? I hired somebody from Fiverr to do marketing.
No. I remember with Fiverr, you just told that they will just making the post, and I'm talking about like the advertisement at post because
yeah, Google.
just
I'm
buy
not
it
sure
right there.
where Google is showing these ads. I think it's probably mostly in YouTube, but it might also be on other Google related pages.
Because I constantly see like advertisement about games, and they like very like intuitive in Twitter. They like you can see the difference between some kind of posts of live people and advertisement, and it's very often I see these advertisement for like buying a game in Steam, or even they have like not even you can buy a game just for getting the wish list. Like and I was like, oh, maybe it's also a good chance because there is a lot of people on Twitter from ready to buy game.
Yeah, the Fiverr thing turned out to be a total flop. In fact, I'm going to dispute that. I'm probably not going to see if I can avoid even paying this person because all they did was make like 5 Facebook posts. And I mean, I blast stuff on Facebook groups myself. I mean, I can do that. All they did is take my Steam link and pasted it to like 5 different groups on Facebook. Really? That's your I'm going to make an awesome promotion for your game.
Maybe that's awesome for them. Maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was. I mean, I wasn't expecting much. I didn't spend much on it, but I want to see if I can actually get that money back. What little bit I did spend. Anybody have anything else they want to cover?
I want just to like because I remember you told like a week or two ago that the people on the Unity videos are hitting the dislike buttons, and what I saw like 3 days ago, maybe the Sakura Rabbit. Sakura Rabbit is she's a YouTuber and she makes a lot of content about Unity in the term of like technical design. She makes really cool videos about some graphic stuff. It's very, very cool. If you don't saw that, like just Google like Sakura Rabbit Unity. It's very, very cool.
Sakura Rabbit?
Sakura Rabbit. Yeah. It's very, very one of the best like VFX that you can find like with the Unity. I can type it here. Like I will give you the link. Rabbit Unity. I think, as I remember, she even has some kind of Patreon, and you can grab her example of things, etc. I will put it in the chat here. I'm sure that's she. So she has also like short videos, like YouTube Shorts, and on each of them there is comments for people, and they are open, and on the last one they were closed. So
she must have been getting a lot of hate.
Yes, so I returned the previous to the last with the open comments, and there people really started to say to her like, hey, it's time to change the engine, blah 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 blah, and she just closed the comments. And I say, well,
so I've noticed I've been getting more dislikes on my videos. Like this most recent one I saw, there were 9 likes and 1 dislike, and the one before that it was like 80% likes and 20% dislikes. And I was actually talking to Andrew from Infinity PVR. He's seeing the same thing on his videos. He was never getting this ratio of, dislikes. And it's got to be still stemming from the people that are like hating on Unity because of the whole pricing stuff.
Yeah, it's very sad because like the most problem now have not the developers, but the content makers that makes tutorials that usually do that for free.
Yeah.
And it's very, very stupid.
Yeah. But I've definitely seen that. It says my channel average, so over the lifetime of my channel, is like 95% likes. And lately, my most recent videos have been 80 to 90%. So definitely something has affected that. And I don't think it's the content of my videos, except that it's Unity.
Yeah, but like what I'm thinking, it's still very, very hard. So you can just turn it into some other engine like in a day, because you need to spend like, I know 3 to 5 years just to sit in and just learning. And I understand people, but it's very hard still to do.
Yep.
To expect that from people like, hey, now like everyone can make like introduction video of a new engine. That's not very hard, but making some cool content requires a lot of experience and knowledge and etc.
Yep. Anybody else have any closing tidbits?
I'll just ask, it's Steam Next Fest. Has anyone seen anything interesting or tried any new games?
I don't have time to play games, man. Are you kidding?
You're a game developer. I have no time for playing games.
Problem is, it's you're not aware of the marketplace if you never play any games.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but there's this thing called time and other commitments.
That sucks.
Yeah, I remember my first interview with a game designer. So my first job was not a developer, but I tried to become a game designer. And the first question that I was asked by a game designer, like, "Oh, what's game are there around? What is a new game? Have you played something? Because I haven't played a new game around like 2 years." And I was like, "Whoa! I saw that it is your main job to sit here and play games," and I was really, really surprised.
Well, I'm going to embarrass myself and tell you the only game I played recently, my neighbor down the street, he's got some young kids and he has a Minecraft server. And so his kids wanted me to be on their Minecraft server. So I did jump over there and play around a little bit on their Minecraft server. And then they came by yesterday wanting to go for a walk, and they love my dog. So I got my dog out and was walking with them. And they're like, "Can you get on Minecraft later? I want to give you this and I want to show you this." And
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I read about Japanese Drift Master in an article about Steamfest. So I'm hoping to try that out. I've actually installed it, but I haven't gotten to it.
what's it called? Japanese Moss?
Drift Master.
Oh, Drip Master.
Yeah,
That's been a big hit.
yeah. I like car games, and yeah,
Is it Drift
Drift
or
game.
Drip?
Drift.
Like when the cars.
So Drift
fly.
Master.
That's it. So I'm gonna give that a shot, but mostly for me, I've been playing Unravel 2 with my girls.
Unravel?
And Unravel, that's a beautiful game. You'll like that. It's like a puzzle solving game where the two main characters are made of yarn and they're connected to each other. So you really need to be able to cooperate to.
With a string, yeah, I like that game. Like I have a Switch, and when people come to play, like I need some games with the co-op, and it's a perfect game. I remember we were playing, and my friend's girlfriend like this trick when you have these two like characters, and one can jump on another, and it looks very, very sweet. Yeah, it's very cool game indeed. It's very simple, but it's very, very, very cool made.
I wonder if my wife would like that. If it's something we could play together.
She might. I can tell you my two daughters like it very much. And I tend to start with the one and then play with the other one, and then eventually I give up and just let them play with each other.
Well, another thing my wife and I do every day, in fact, our kids do it too, and we always share our results on Facebook Messenger, is Wordle. So we all do Wordle every day. And then my wife and I are doing Duolingo, learning Spanish. So we make sure to do at least one lesson a day in Duolingo. It's not really a game, but kind of feels like a game. So we have some comments. One guy talking about the Unity stuff said, haters gonna hate. And another guy said, it's really sad to see people hate the games because of the software. That too from self-proclaimed developers. And then the guy that said haters gonna hate says latest game he played is Dinky Guardians. So that's Code Monkey's new game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
He says the guilt of could be programming instead is real.
And you know, if you don't like Unity, fine, but at least give people a little bit of time. I mean, it's not like you can turn on a dime and just be like, oh, I'll just use this now, and everything's changed.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to adjust.
Yeah. So some of the groups I'm on, like on Reddit and on Facebook, people are like, nobody should be using Unity anymore. And I'm like, this is a Unity group. You know, why are you, if you don't want to use Unity, fine. Why are you still in this group? It's like, because I care about this. And I'm like, there's a difference between criticizing something because you want to see it get better and improve and just hating on something and telling people that they shouldn't use it anymore. I mean, if that's your opinion and you really feel strongly that you're done with Unity, then good, more power to you and God bless you and whatever engine you use, but don't stay in a Unity group and tell people they shouldn't use Unity anymore.
Yeah, I have to say, for me, probably because I don't get affected by the price change much, but my experience has been that Unity has been very, very generous to devs over the years. And I feel that people who 10 minutes after the announcement was made just jumped on and said, we are never using Unity, never really gave them a chance. And they have very, very short memories.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But then in today's day and age, we live on an internet where rage sells, you know?
Oh, I know.
So,
just think about what's going on worldwide right now.
And now with the CEO change, you know, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. People aren't satisfied because they wanted the whole board gone.
yeah, well, I actually feel that what Unity came back with is quite fair.
Yeah.
I do understand people don't like them changing the deal, but I don't think that was actually the intention. I think it was just maybe pushed out too soon and miscommunicated. So I'm willing to give them some grace on that. But like the one commenter said, haters are gonna hate. It's one of those things.
So I don't know how you pronounce this. Payush Works. He says he's playing Syberia, Syberia. Are you all familiar with that?
Yeah, it's been out a while.
Yeah, it's a very old game. I even played it on the Windows, Pocket PC. It's very, very first variation of smartphones, and it was quite cool. I was very surprised it was working there, and it was quite optimized. It's quite one of the legendary like point and click games. It's very cool indeed.
Well, I hate to wrap this up. This is a great conversation, but I actually have to work my real job. So anyway, I had a great time. Thank you all for jumping and being willing to live stream it so people can benefit from the discussion. And I hope anybody watching enjoyed it. And
thank you too.
Yep. Be sure to buy my game Highland Panic if you haven't already. and leave a 5-star review too.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool. All right. Oh, by the way, the other thing is Manny. Check out Manny's YouTube channel. Manny Makes Games. He's been cranking out the tutorials lately, and they're really good. So check them out.
Thanks, Greg.
All right. See y'all.